transform student-looking Excel VBA spreadsheets into professional projects that companies endorse. This can be done within minutes using Easy Ribbon Builder in a format that can be shared freely amongst colleagues. Creating your own ribbon tab is as simple as filling out a few sheets. This first sheet sets the structure of our ribbon tab, so I'll start by setting its position to being after the Home tab. This means it'll be placed between the Home and the Insert tab. I know I want 3 groups of buttons, but I'll set it to 4 so I have a spare group of buttons in case I need it later. And now I set the configuration of my button types. The first button is the leftmost button in the group, going down to the 10th button. I can set these buttons to being invisible later, so I don't actually need them all. I can set between simple, drop-down and split buttons, where a simple button is an individual clickable button, a drop-down button drops down to 10 clickable items, a split button, the top half, acts as a simple button, and the bottom half acts as a drop-down button. So I'll go ahead and fill this out now. So now we're into the second stage. You'll notice that all the buttons have been populated according to what we specified in the first stage. So we fill out a sheet for every single group of buttons, and that sets the appearance of our buttons. So I'll start by setting the ribbon tab to being called Duncan's Tools. I'll set the group and the button to being visible. It defaults to being visible. And I'll set it to not being grayed out. If it was grayed out, it would look grayed out as you'd expect. And if it was not set to visible, it just simply disappears. So that means you don't have to use all of your buttons that you have set up. You can set them to being invisible. So now I'll set the group 1 label to being General Controls, and you'll notice that's updated there. I can set the button size to either small or large, so if I set it to small it looks like that, if I set it to large it looks like that. The image, I search for an image, so I'll search for colour. The search is in American English, so I like that icon and I'll select it. It pastes it immediately into the cell. So I'll set the title to being Select Form Color, and the hover comment body to be Select the Background Color of the form. And so you'll notice that that pops up there immediately. Oh, got a typo there. You'll notice that there are menu items here, so that's for this drop down bar, and you can collapse that menu like so. So I've fast forwarded a bit, I've completed the sheets out, and my cool looking ribbon is ready to go. This column here was populated automatically by the program, and it is a code name for every single ribbon item, so you can refer to it in the VBA code in the next stage, which we'll now cover. Now we're at stage 3. We have our finalized ribbon ready for you to add code which sets the actions that happen when the user clicks on the button. And the second feature is optional. You may want the ribbon to change appearance during runtime. For example, if we had multiple sheets, we might want to disable some of the buttons for particular sheets. And I'll show you an example of that soon. So first of all, let's set the action that happens when we click this bottom button. In editing mode, clicking on any of your ribbon buttons will take you directly to this procedure, which sets the button's action, where button item is the identifier for the button that is clicked. So I first want to identify if the button clicked is the bottom button. So I type in if button item dot control ID is equal to, and I type in R underscore and press control space. Now you'll notice that all of our ribbon items have been defined as objects, where they start with R underscore, followed by the label of the item, followed by the group number, its button number, and if its menu number, if relevant. So we want to go to the bottom button, B-O-T-T, and it's already got it. If I press spacebar, that'll insert that into my code, and then I'll type in dot control ID. So if the bottom button is clicked, it will execute whatever code is inside this if statement. So I'll send it to the bottom of the page. Let's make 24 the bottom of the page, just for argument's sake. Now I'll press Alt F11 to go back to the code, and if the button is pressed, I'll send it there. So sheet 1.range I'll comment out the stop line because we're no longer editing and we're wanting to run this. So let's test it out. If we click the bottom button, yep, that takes us to the bottom of the page. Now I'm going to add code to change the ribbon's appearance during runtime. This is an optional step as it's not required for all projects. So I'll start by adding a sheet called automation data. Now these sheets here I will not populate for this example, but the idea is when automation data sheet is selected, I want all of these icons to be active, and then if any other sheet is selected, I want these to be grayed out. I'll hide this sheet here because it's not required. So I've just pressed Alt F11 to access my code. Now I want to select my workbook module. Now I want to find the sheet activate event. So whenever the user activates a sheet, it will run this procedure. First of all, I'll change my window to be smaller so I can see the buttons as I'm writing the code. So if the sheet name equals automation data, then I want to set grey out to equal false. So R underscore, and I type in my, if I press control space, it'll fill it out because that's unique to that button. Dot, and you'll notice here that it's got access to all properties of the button. So I can set any of these properties in the code. I can also view the properties, the value of the properties in the code as well. The only one that I can't write is control ID. That's a read-only property. And then I'll complete the same for the rest of the 5 buttons in this group. If the sheet selected is not automation data, then I want to grey out the buttons. Okay, let's test this out.